the icon over about 18. But the middle of the column, 13 years old.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. We were waiting. We are online, so we have to get ready for that too as well. Just very quickly, I'm Oscar Alvarado. I'm the chairperson for the GEPAR Realtor Builder Committee. And the responsibility of the Realtor Builder Committee is creating informational programs and services that will advance the relationship between you, the realtor, and the new home builders, okay? And this whole year we have programmed several presentations. Our first presentation this year, as far as the new home builders, is going to be Icon Homes. I'm going to introduce our friend Lisa Wise. She's on the committee, and of course the committee is open to anybody who wants to join the committee. Let us know and we'll get you involved. So Lisa, if you want to come on over.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out. Just real quickly, before we get started, Martha Aguayo would like to say a few words. If she's here. Oh, you want to? Okay. So Candace will speak for her.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. So Martha is the chair for the Education Committee, and she was just going to present the stuff that's on the screen to you guys, but basically we were going to push for you to take part in Education Day if you haven't gotten tickets already. There's 2 classes that give you CE credit and lots of really good information and material being covered, free lunch, great sponsors, and we hope that you guys will join us. And also we just want to thank you for coming today. Oscar and the rest of the committee have put together an awesome series of information for you guys, so we hope you enjoy it today. Stay involved with GEPAR and please go on, Martha's here now. If you can go on our website and just watch us on social media, there'll be lots of updates for you guys to get involved. We appreciate you being here. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Sorry, Martha. So again, thank you all for being here. My name is Lisa Wise. I'm a realtor with Sandy Messer & Associates, and I joined the Realtor Builder Committee about 3 years ago, and it's been extremely educational for me. Also, hope you're enjoying your delicious lunch. It's sponsored by Cadence Lending, and here to talk to us a little bit about Cadence is Mundo Portillo. About 5 minutes? 3 to 5 minutes?
Sounds good. How are you guys? My name is Edmundo Portillo. I'm the president of Cadence Lending Group. Happy to be here. Today, in this market, we're kind of navigating in some pretty funky times, wouldn't you agree? But in reality, if you thought about the early 2000s, this is kind of reminiscent of that time. In 2005, interest rates were 5.875. 2007, 6.825. So, the only difference between now and then is the lack of the subprime market, which that in itself caused, havoc to the lending side, and then overspilled into the real estate side. But the one thing is true is that we'll get through it. We always have. And with great partnerships and leadership, we're poised to strategically navigate what is to come. We've been working with Icon Homes for the last 10 years as a preferred lender, and these are the times that actually the preferred lendership has all its meaning. You need that partnership to navigate and to I guess the end result, get our borrowers to the closing table. We know their product well. They know our staff very well. As a matter of fact, sometimes I think my staff is hired by them, and so but nonetheless, we love the partnership. We respect the partnership, and we're in 100% support of Icon Homes. Thank you.
Sometimes I feel like I work for Icon Homes too. Anyway, so thank you very much, Mundo. We are super excited about this year's series of presentations. Throughout the series, we hope to take you through the home building process. And here to take us through that is my favorite builder, of course, Icon Custom Homes. Carlos and Juanita Garcia began building homes over 18 years ago. Juanita just shared with me right now that he's actually been building homes since he was much, much younger, about 13 years of age. Their unique vision and creativity allowed them to dedicate themselves full-time to their passion and allowed them the freedom to walk away from successful careers in the service industry. Carlos was a firefighter and Juanita was a school teacher. They now spend their time running one of El Paso's most successful family-owned businesses. Their goal is, and always has been, service and giving back to the community, and it's demonstrated daily in how they treat their company, how they treat their employees, and how they treat their clients. And I have seen firsthand how much Juanita and Carlos give back to the community, a lot of stuff that maybe other people don't see. And it's very rewarding for me, and I'm definitely very proud to represent them as well. And here to walk us through the first stages of construction and touch briefly on their contract is Samira Lopez. Samira has been Icon's general manager for over 9 years and has been an intricate part of their success and leadership, and brings a vast amount of knowledge, having been in the construction industry for over 19 years. And now, without further delay, Samira Lopez. I'm trying to get to the screen.
It's on this one. We're able to see this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. For those that don't know me, my name is Samira Lopez. I'm the general manager of Icon. I've been with the company for 9 years. My experience in the building industry is, like Lisa says, about 19 years. I was actually a teacher as well. And when I was prepping for this presentation, I felt like I was going back in time, prepping for classroom as well. So I try to explain as much as I can on 4 different topics that I was giving: soil testing, permitting, slab, and very briefly on the escalation clause. I want to stress out, that the topics that I'm going to go ahead and try to brief you on, these are merely, from the Icon perspective, and it's not a rule of thumb for all the builders here in El Paso. Okay? Soil and the foundation study. The purpose of the soil study is to investigate the subsurface soil conditions underlying the proposed construction site in order to provide soil information and value for slab and footing design and the proposed residential structures. What does this mean? So pretty much, we have a responsibility as builders to perform, a soil study to let us know how we're going to be prepping the lot for the construction and the structure of the house. Go ahead. The soil study conducted at the site consisted of field exploration, lab testing on the soil sample collected from the site, and engineering recommendations on footing and slab design for the purpose for the proposed residential structures. I added a picture, go back, Raul, of the site. In this sample, I did 772 Brunswick, and where you see that round black and white circle, that's where the actual drilling occur. What does this happen? That a big truck goes in there and digs 15 feet deep. They drill it, and what they pull out, it's samples of the soil conditions, 15 feet under the surface. This is a sample, of a soil test. In this, you can see on where it says visual soil classifications, it's going to tell you, what kind of sand you find every 5 10, 15 feet. And if it has sandy conditions, if it's silty conditions, and all this information, not only that, but it's sent to the engineer so they can actually work on our post tension, which we're going to be talking in the next slide. The post tension is such an important part of the building process because it actually, is the foundation, what holds, the entire framing. There are two different types of foundation. One is post tension, and the other one is called a rebar. Here in town, the most common is the post tension, and there are benefits to it. A lot of people, and depending on the area, they might say the rebar is a little bit better than post tension. But here, there's really not a true answer to that. It all depends, on the area. And for us, for ICON, we determined that post tension is the best option because based on the soil results and conditions of the land, we send that to an engineer, and the engineer is the one that works on the post tension plan, and that's what we follow. This is a picture of how a lot looks, once the post tension is installed. As you can see, those grading plastify, kind of cables that's what it is, post tension. What happens here is that once the concrete is poured and some time passes, the engineers will go back, and how the name calls it, they tension it. So that's what holds the foundation in place and prevents, from major cracking happening, in the base of the house. The permit, I don't know if you guys know, but there is two types of permit that you can pull as builders. One is directly with the city. You can go to the city of El Paso and you submit your plans, your post tension plan, your roof plan, and they do check the entire packet, and then they issue a permit. There's another way to do it, and that's going through third-party inspections. Typically, what we find here at ICON is that it's a lot faster, and there's a more one-on-one relationship with the inspectors as to you have a little bit more of a chance, of learning and correcting faster and easier, and to give a better, product to the client. The requirements for both options are the same. You still need to go through the full set of plans, that it's your side plan, your elevation, your floor plan, your, like I said, your post tension plan, your truss plan, which is also engineer, and you have to attach the electrician to the permit, the HVAC, and the plumbing permit as well. Once they see all this, it goes to planning and revisions, and they check that everything, it's according, you're following code. And then once you have all that, they'll issue a permit. Builders must comply with local code. Whatever we find in the city and in third party locally, we must comply with the code. And this is one thing that I find over and over and over, trying to explain to some realtors. When you guys have those clients, with third-party inspections, and they say, what, code says this, this, and this. And I have to go back and explain, I understand appraisers follow state code. We need to follow local code. So sometimes one code and the other one, they don't match. So it is important for us to understand that we need to abide by this, and whenever we can go on and beyond to please, an appraiser, we actually go the extra mile to try to please it. But it's not that it's a mistake from the builder's side. It's pretty much, what we were required to do and follow. Right now, we have to follow the 2015 International Residential Code. is transitioning into the 2021. And it's still, they go back and forward as to when they're going to do it. And of course, with changes in the code, there's always changes in the way that builders need to build. Again, appraisers use a Texas code. And I'm going to give you a sample of a county permit. So the county permit, just like the city permit, they need to follow a set of inspections. The slab, the monolithic, the framing, the HVAC, electrical. At the end, we pass what we call the building final. We even have to pass a gas inspection to make sure that you guys as clients can go ahead and order gas service. Again, the gas, when we builders ask you to request gas for your buyers, is not a requirement from the city. This is something, that the lender will ask, or the appraisers, for your third-party inspections. We have slab stages. In the picture you can see, the first step that we do, we work on forms. When you see all those sticks, around the house just thrown in the lot, that's what we're prepping. We are perimetering, the foundation of the house. After that, we go through the plumbing rough. The plumbing goes in there, they dig holes, and they need to make sure that the sewer is sloped correctly towards the curb, so we don't have any sewer issues. There is a permit for that, and there is an inspection for that. Then after that, we do the post-tension. Then the electrical goes in. In our case, to comply with energy code, ICON also insulates our forms. And Lisa was asking me yesterday, I've never seen that. And I look at this picture and I said, I'm going to show her, look at the picture where you see that blue layering, on the foundation. That is the insulation for the slab. And of course, the concrete. Have any questions in reference to, or should I wait till the end after the escalation? Yeah. Okay. I was asked to talk to you guys about, I think this is a new thing, how you guys see it, the escalation clause. It has caused sensation and a lot of questions. I don't know how many times I receive calls, and ask me, how does this work? And again, I want to stress out that in our case, I cannot talk for the rest of the builders, right? But I can only abide by how we manage our escalation clause. This escalation clause is not something that it's new in our contracts. ICON uses the Texas Association of Builders contract. And this clause has been there for years. It just caught, that we had never gone, through what we have gone, in the last 2 years. To the pandemic, to the shortage of labor, the shortage of material, the ridiculously increasing of pricings left and right in labor and in all stages of construction. It is a little bit difficult to explain to customers because, again, it's not something, that us as builders and you as realtors is easy to explain to a customer. Why is your home going up in price if I have a contract with a sales price? And we understand, and we're in the same boat that you guys are. I want to stress out, and I'm going to show you how it's written, in our contract, the escalation clause, and how ICON manages, and at what point, we exercise, our right to execute, the escalation clause. The purpose, of course, is as builders with the price increases last year, all of us know the prices went up so all of a sudden, from 20 to 30%. Nationwide, this was something, that was, it wasn't new for anybody. Like you could see it is not just, it doesn't pertain only to our town, it's just worldwide, like this was happening. You would hear in the news, from chip containers, like stuck and stranded, in the ocean. And we saw it, and I'm sure you guys saw it, with your customers, that appliances were not getting here. That at one point, we didn't even have toilets. And it was very dramatic, it was very surprising, and it was very unexpected. What happens, when the demand goes high, prices go high. If the materials go up, then subcontractors would charge in the same manner, more. It got very competitive. It got to the point that the electrician, instead of charging his set turnkey, he was doubling already. Because if we were not giving them that, what they were asking, they could go to the next builder. And it was just very unfair, yes, but that's how the market works. Unfortunately, there's a point that the builder can only hold off. Just like you guys, we do run our budgets. We do run an estimate, especially in custom building. We're very strict with that. Every single house is different. So every time that we work with the customer, we break down that floor plan down to the bone in order to give an estimate that is the closest possible and that would hold the sales price for your client. What happens here that if I budgeted $10,000 for cabinets, as an example, so all of a sudden, I was paying $20,000 for cabinets. And this is just one item of the 100 of items, that we need to order in order to build a house. Again, we budget everything, including a profit. As a business, we need to make sure that our profit will cover, all the people that work in the industry, in our business, in our company. Maybe, if it was just one item and you just took a hit for one item, that's completely, we could probably take it. But if it's absolutely every single stage, every single subcontractor, and every single material, that's, when builders start getting in trouble. And this is a reason why this escalation clause, it's in the contracts. And again, I want to express, that this escalation clause is not something that appeared, when the pandemic started. No, it's always been there. Go ahead. Escalation of certain products and materials. Are you guys familiarized with this? No? And maybe somebody can tell me if there's an escalation clause in the TREC contract. I'm not sure. No? Okay. No? Okay. The building products and materials utilized in construction can be subject to price variation based on local, regional, and national supply chains and demand issues, catastrophic events included but not limited to pandemic, hurricanes, tornadoes, flood, earthquakes, terrorism, wars, etc. The categories of products and materials most commonly affected by these variations in pricings are sheet goods, such as drywall, insulated wiring, piping, soffit trim, lumber, plywood, OSB, structural members, two-time materials, insulation, concrete, steel products, appliances, manufactured products, and equipment, and petroleum-based roofing and other materials. You guys get the idea, absolutely everything, pretty much. In the event that there is one or more price increases in these construction products and materials, whether one or more categories individually or collectively, or more than 10% from, number one, the estimated or budget pricing, number two, average of similar materials or products purchased by the builder, and number three, general geographic region where the property is located starting from and including the preceding 30-day period from the execution of this contract. This entirely of the increase in actual pricing paid or to be paid will be paid by the buyer, resulting in an increase of the total sales price. So pretty much it sums it up. I have all the time, customers and realtors asking me, how does a 10% work? If for any reason the price increases didn't hit the 10% collectively, then there's no reason why to worry. That's why estimating is so important. But if for any reason the collectively, the sales of the increases, goes beyond the 10%, then that's when, the entire difference, will be charged to the buyer, and it will be in the form of a sales price increase.
Looking at the language of it, if the price goes up, buyer must accept the price increase, whatever the language says. The buyer is in default, and the builder can take whatever remedies. That includes keeping the deposits. But if your price increase now price them out of the market, they no longer qualify. According to the TAB contract, then they still lose the deposit, and it's through no fault. How is that fair to the consumer?
The question was, and I'm only repeating this question for the people that are on YouTube. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm only repeating this question so that the viewers on YouTube can hear the question, because they can't hear you if you're not on the mic. The question was, if the price increases and it prices the buyers out of the market, is that what you said?
Yes.
Are they and they will be out their entire builder deposit and their upgrade money as well? Well, in this case, it's builder deposit. There is no earnest money, because we're talking about icon
Yeah.
only. So the builder deposit.
I'm talking about the contract form that you use.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what you're saying. Well, this is what we're going to do. The issue that I have is in the contract. The language in the contract says if the price goes up, and it doesn't give a limitation, the price could go up 30 or 40%. The buyer is now in default of the contract, and the builder can take any remedies that they want under the terms of the contract.
They're only going, well, I'm not going to answer for her, but the question is, yes, your question is, regardless of the amount that increases, they will be responsible if it's over 10%. Otherwise, they are in default. Now.
So there's no out clause for the buyer. If the market goes high, they no longer can afford, they're basically screwed using this contract.
One question at a time, please. And we're also going to have question and answering after she's done with her presentation.
Understand, the concern as realtors, like I said, it's difficult to explain something like this to a buyer. Here at we try to be as clear as possible, and we try to, our estimates and our price controls, go up accordingly to the market. What I mean with this is that our proposals only are good for 15 days. We try to estimate the most accurate possible in order to prevent this from happening, to the point that ever since this started and the price increases started, we have only executed this escalation clause 2 times. 2 times. Because if we have a point of not bothering or jeopardizing the sale, we go ahead and do it. This had only been in from time to time, where it's going to be, I'm going to lose money, or it's going to be, an issue, for in the future, for profit, for warranty, for everything else. Is it fair to the customer? That's exactly why we are disclosing this since the contract and up front. In our case, like I said, how we work it is based on budget. Hit the next one.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
And then also what Icon does do is it's a pass-through cost. So they're not making any additional profits on that escalated clause.
So I can insert this here. I'm saying from the buyer's standpoint, it's now priced, for whatever reason, it's now priced beyond what they're willing or they're able to.
But that's the market.
And would TAB be willing to change the
one thing that it makes us different is that we're custom. We also have, yes, but what I'm trying to explain is that we are building a house for the customer, not their like, with the risks knowingly expressed and showed upfront. Price for both builder and buyer, because if the buyer doesn't qualify or goes beyond their scope, then the builder stays with the completed build home, and the price is not going to go down.
You have another buyer that can come in, and you know what, it is a risk. You asked about the TREC contract.
Yeah.
Do they have an escalation clause? I wrote the TREC contract.
Yeah.
One of the reasons they don't have the escalation clause in there is because it's too one-sided. It protects one side,
Okay.
but not the other. So the question is, would you be willing, using that standard contract, or would you be willing to use an addendum that allows for a cap on any escalation, whereby if it exceeds that, then the buyer's able to walk away and get their deposit?
So the question is are builders willing to put a cap on how much of an escalation clause or an escalation in pricing can be done, and if they would be willing to put some type of an addendum or special provisions into the contract stating that?
For right now,
I'm explaining, the way that we issue our escalation clause. And like I explained to you before, we had only exercised it 2 times. Yes. I'm sorry, I'm not a lawyer. I don't write the contract. We do use this contract. And I think that's the reason why, we disclose this information. On top of that, every single pre-qualification that we work, we're in communication with Cadence, with other banks, we want to make sure, that they're not maxed out. Our pre-qualification letters, are extremely revised to try to prevent this from happening.
I would compare somewhat to the appraisal waiver. To the appraisal waiver where it's,
You have you do have options to choose from, but most sellers agents want to use the portion that states that buyer on the resale side will pay whatever amount, regardless of the appraised value. So to talk about one-sidedness, that's why I was bringing that up.
But that addendum that you just referenced also has a cap. The answer that I'm getting from most builders is no. This is why, from a realtor standpoint, why we prefer to use a different contract that protects buyers. The TAB contract is absolutely one-sided. It's very strong. Now, there's a lot of things that I like in the contract because it covers things that the TREC form does not. But it's so unfair. Many of the things in there, and that's the thing that I think is the most unfair to consumers, is the fact that it's just one-sided.
Yeah, unfortunately, the situation, the pandemic has put all of us in a very unfair situation. So,
Your question,
well, the increase in labor.
us and the increase also in material, the prices of material, that's what I'm referring to.
And like you said, if this buyer doesn't buy it, the next one might.
to the like of the homeowner. Sometimes, there's things in these houses that are not standard. They're not common and they're not to the like of everybody. And if you read it, a 10% increase, it's substantial. It's a lot of money. When you talk about a $500,000 home, a 10% increase, in any labor and material, that is used in that house is a big chunk, of the construction. So that's why we are, like I said, in our case, we have exercises 2 times. In both times, the buyer was able to hold it, and close on the house. One of them was a $5,000 increase, and the other one was an $9,000 increase. And at that point, the buyer also negotiated, and because he could only go to this much, and I made it happen. I don't want to speak for other builders because I don't know how they exercise this. But us as a company, we decided that we understand the buyer. But at the same time, if this is not going to be profitable, then we cannot, just build the houses and without, having enough to pay our employees as well. It's a business after all. Just like, it's you are accounting for that. We're also accounting, for some kind of profit. So to your question, sir, we have never been in that position in which a buyer cannot afford the market increases to the point that I have decided, or we have decided in our company to keep the builder deposit or earnest money or change orders or anything. Unlike other builders as well, we actually disclose our budgeted costs for absolutely every single plan. Left and right, we're letting them know. Foundation prep and grading, how much we're going to be budgeted, into their cost. The lumber, the roofing, electrical, plumbing, paint, and stucco. Do you guys have any more questions?
I think you had a question.
Well, I was a little concerned, like Michael was, about if the person who these increases go up, they're still going to be using the money that was their fault, but now they can't qualify.
So the question is the same: if a home price increases too much and the buyer no longer qualifies or doesn't want to pay for that escalated price, will they lose their builder deposit and upgrade monies?
Like I say, we haven't hold any monies from any buyer, and so far, we had only exercises 2 times. It's in. Yes. Yeah, and I think that a good point here. A set amount, for a pre-qual might not be, the best thing to do for the clients right now. I want to say, if there's some wiggle room, for anything like this to happen, and not only with us, but with any other builders that they decide to execute the escalation clause, would be a good idea to try to prevent this from happening with any other customer. You know how we used to, maximizing, their pre-qual? Maybe it's, it'll be a good idea, to give a little wiggle, for anything like this to happen.
I think it falls upon us as realtors, guys. If you prepare your client from the beginning, you'll be fine. That's the conversations that you as realtors need to have. No company, whether it's a builder, whether it's any company, they are not going to work at a loss, right? You're not going to work at a loss. So I think if we prepare our clients from the very beginning, we're going to be okay. And the client's going to be okay. You're not going to go into a big purchase counting your change, basically, right? It's educating the client and then preparing them, because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. This happened to all of us these past 2 years. We all went through it. Everybody learned. We learned. The builders learned. And I think it falls on us as realtors to prepare our clients.
The fact that it's not a surprise escalation, or I don't want to build your home anymore. It's protecting the buyer as well. This is what it is keeping them informed and educating them in that. Yeah.
But if they're
is there a timeline when the builders go back to the buyers or the buyer's agent and inform them of any possible price increases?
In our case,
When we got the first notification, that huge hit of lumber increase, OSB, from $9 was going, sold a sudden at $56 a piece. All the contracts here at Icon, we stopped everything and we had a conversation with all our clients. Everybody that had a contract, we got them together and we say, immediately before we start, this is happening. And we give them a chance of continuing, paying the difference. And if they decided to terminate the contract, we were to give them absolutely everything back.
That had they were upset that the builder stopped for so long, right? And so before anybody signs a contract, pricing is disclosed and this escalation clause is disclosed. So they have the option at that time, right, to not put any money down, and they're going to lose nothing. So everything is disclosed, and then individually the side if they want to move forward.
Yes, we gave them the option beforehand. If we get notification, that something like this is going to happen again, we'll do the same. We'll hold everything, we'll disclose it, and we'll have the buyer knowingly decide if they want to move forward or not. When during the process, if there's something that jumps, in our proposals, we have on our system something that calls in for actual cost versus estimate. If there's something, that pulls it, beyond, the 10%, and if it all depends, because if it's something that we can actually make up for, we don't do anything. But I think the timeline here is that when we have cabinets installed, we call it, 45 to 60 days to close. We do an analysis of the cost, and then we decide as a company if we're going to exercise the clause or not. This is before an appraiser's order, before, the final steps, the financing are completed. Okay? Any other questions?
any other questions on the soil test?
I have a question regarding lending. Why is it that Icon specifically does ask for a certain percentage down and other builders do not, especially when it's a VA and there's 0 down? Can you please explain that, please?
Yes. The truth of the fact is that we have a lot of people in the office, a lot of designers, a lot of people, that are in charge, to finalize the floor plans, to the specifics. Most buyers, and I want to say 98% of the buyers that we have always make modifications to the floor plan. It's adding a cabinet here, it's making your courtyard bigger, it's ceiling height as well. It's a very particular floor plan. I have customers, that add solar rooms, customers that add gyms, and very specific to the floor plan. Again, when you have and you build a specific house, for a customer, the greater risk of that contract falling and finding another buyer with that same like and specific, the pool narrows. So that is why we call it a builder deposit. Initial cash payment is asked, and we always tell the buyer that at closing they get it back. Good. Again, I understand the gentleman on the back, his concern, but we took the risk, to come in here. I knew that this was going to be what we were going to talk about. Yes. And again, I heard horrible stories, from people and realtors telling me, they just increased at $5,000, $10,000. I had customers telling me, I had a friend of the family that she was buying and building a house, and so all of a sudden the house went $30,000. And we were not there, not even close to that. So the compromise is that if we can, we will. But if we cannot hold the losses, we will exercise our costs. We have to see in business. Yeah? So I get it. And let me, I am on the board in El Paso Association of Builders. And I have direct contact, with some of the lawyers, that are involved in that. And I'll definitely, pass down the information. Whether they take it or not, I don't know. But, I can promise you that I'll do that.
So the question was, or the comment was, there's a problem with the language in this one more question.
Yes. Yeah. If I knew, and the best bet, of course, would be to build a spec home, just because, that's for sure. Those are the actual prices and costs, for that specific plan. And if you have it ready, let's run with it. But when you decide to build a home, it's a risk that both the buyer and the builder are risking to take. Because let's say that I do frame the house, and so the sudden, the electrical wiring goes skyrocketing. As a builder, I cannot just leave, if the buyer decides to not move forward, I cannot just leave the construction, without any electrical and abandon the job. I need to finish it at whatever cost it is.
Another question, okay, so they build, would it be good to build a year or 6 months from now?
So the question is right now a good time to build, wait a year, or wait 6 months?
This is taking us, this might be the new normal. We don't know. We wish we knew. When the pandemic started, we all thought that was it. No construction, everything was going to go down the drain. And to our surprise, last year was the best year. The best year in sales, not, worldwide. Okay. But we don't know. We can only speculate, and it's not a for sure thing. So is it a good time to build? It's according to the need. And the willingness, of the buyer and the builder to risk, to make this continue. Like I said, it might be the new normal.
So the question is it a good practice for buyers to start saving money, possible escalation in price?
Start along, with, like I said again, a little wiggle, on the pre-qualification letters to make sure, that they can hold a little bit more, than what they were pre-qualified for in the sales price. Yes, and it's always when you build a house, to save money, the most that you can.
So I think Oscar was hit it, the nail right on the head. Prepping our buyers and letting them know, maybe not to go to the whatever their max limits are, so that they do have a little bit of cushion. And of course, saving money is always good. And don't go out and buy a new vehicle right before.
One more thing, like in the middle of all this mess, I built my house last year, so I know what the buyers go through. I can completely understand. You estimate, you go over, and you make that decision knowingly. Yes. Yes, it's exciting. I love it.
So the comment was that, us as realtors need to educate our clients and, because it is very detailed. It's not as you're building a production home.
Like on a typical track, you work on a floor plan and it just stays there for years. Floor plan, you break walls, roof, everything. On custom, we have we have 4 designers just working, for the buyer's desires, and likes, and move one wall, 1 foot here and then do this one. And it's exciting. We love it. We love the design process. Like you said, I have not only that, but during construction, all the meetings that we have with the customers, foremen, designers, color selection specialists, we have 4 of them as well. So yes, to that comment, you are absolutely correct. The custom process is very different than a track building. Juanita wants to say something. For those she's Juanita Garcia, the owner of Icon, and she's here.
I was gonna talk about what Tamina just mentioned. It's very hard for us because, as you know, we're known for our custom homes, and a lot of builders say they're custom, but they show you 3 floor plans and you're allowed to move a wall. With us, our clients literally come with a little, sometimes with just their ideas, and we start from scratch. That's why that escalation clause is very important, and why we really haven't been able or haven't used it. Usually buying 2nd or 3rd homes, and they're very well educated. It's very rare that an Icon client comes and he's maxed to his very top because they've already built several homes. We have to educate the first-time home buyers, and us or you guys as realtors, don't let them max out, especially with what you guys are seeing happen right now, because I can assure you, at least not with us, 2 years before, we never even thought about an escalation clause. And with our clients, the ones that we hadn't actually gone and explained that escalation clause from the beginning of the contract, even though it is in the contract, and once you signed it, you're liable for it. You're signing something. We didn't go back to those people for any money. The 2 clients that she's referring to, before we actually, they've had the contract with us probably 2 months, and before we actually started construction, we met with them and told them, there's a possibility your house is gonna go up. And they chose to stay with us. We gave them an average as what we thought it was gonna be, and after framing, we actually gave them the exact numbers, and they stayed with us. But this escalation clause is not, we're not trying to sneak something in there for the buyer. That's not the type of builder we are. And I don't think there's builders like that in El Paso. I don't know. But we're, like Samira said, we're very transparent, and that's what we're trying to do and explain to the clients. One thing that we're doing right now is we're doing a lot of spec homes, which for the first-time home buyers, for a lot of your buyers that want a semi-custom, we're starting a new signature line where those are some of our top floor plans that are selling that other clients have bought before, and they're custom plans. So we're even putting those out, and we're actually against our sales team, which they get upset because we have all these things coming up. We're not issuing prices until actually the house has either gone through drywall, just so that we don't have to come back and charge more to the client. So that's one thing we've been doing, because in framing and drywall, that's where you're seeing the highest pricing. So if you get an inventory list from us, you're gonna see we have so many things coming up, but why only some of them have pricing? Because we wanna be upfront to the client. So we're putting pricing on a lot of these spec homes after it's gone through a stage where we feel safe, that if we lose some money, we're gonna be still okay, but we don't have to come back with an escalation clause to the client. So just a little bit more information on our company, so you see.
She's on the back. He's also
Again, why do I need 10 contracts if I'm gonna come back and tell you you owe me another 5,000 and then you don't qualify? That's no good for us. So that's what we're to help clients. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna make it clear that I really like your product. I've watched you guys over the last few years coming from building, 5, 10, 15 homes to all of a sudden like
So the question is, would Icon as a custom your own custom contract that protects the buyer and
So we haven't been in that position. Yes.
I don't want to anymore hate you.
No.
He loves our product, of course, like everybody else. I'm just kidding. I will talk about this with my husband and consider it, but to be honest with you, I've used this contract probably for the last 15 years. We haven't had any issues. And I know what you read in the contract, and your job is to protect the client. But if you look back at our track record and how much earnest or builder deposits we kept and change order money, sometimes it's better to just give all the money back to a client and not have to or $10,000. Sometimes that money is not even worth it. But I'll take your comments into consideration. I'm only 50% owner, so the other guy. But yes, I appreciate your comments. I mean, that's why we're here, because we want to learn from you guys. Anything that's happening, sometimes, I mean, we're open to anything. Any comments, we're willing to listen to all of you guys, because we got to work with you all. I mean, you guys 90% of the business, and we appreciate it. That's why we're here. Trust me, she doesn't like to be in front of anybody. So that's the only reason we're here. Thank you, everybody.
Questions or comments or recommendations?
Team, Juanita, thank you for joining us, and Lisa, great presentation. Do we have one more question?
Thank you. Yes, Carlos will kill us if we don't mention it. I'm kidding. So, custom building Icon Custom Builders. We have our signature line, which is our spec, most appealing, floor plans. And then we have our Rise product. Rise Homes, independent company, part of the same ownership. But houses, from the 1,300 all the way to 2,400 square feet. 2,300 square feet. Rise amenities, for some home buyers, trying to target that market. We have a website on risehomes.net. So, but for you guys that don't know it, it's the same company. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We're gonna wrap it up. Cadence did bring 3 gift cards, so if you haven't already, thank you, Samira. Thank you so much. So Cadence brought some gift cards. Did everybody put their card in here? Okay, I put 7 of them. I hope that's okay.
Gustavo Alarcón?
Oh, God.
Yes. Yay, congratulations.
Make plans to join us for our next presentation, which will be April.
April 24th. It's a third Thursday presentation. And we'll follow up. We'll continue on the construction process. So we'll have another topic. And look out for the emails, and we'll see everybody.
Thank you.